Throughout the ancient and modern historical continuum, the mythos of Nibiru has risen from obscurity to become one of the most captivating celestial mysteries in the lore of human civilization. Often relegated to the fringes of science and the speculative whispers of alternative historians, Nibiru, sometimes referred to as Planet X, has gripped the imagination of countless researchers, truth-seekers, and enthusiasts of the ancient astronaut theory. The history of Nibiru, while contested in mainstream circles, begins with a deeper examination of Sumerian mythology, a civilization that many regard as the cradle of civilization and one of the first to record complex cosmological understandings in written form. The Sumerians, who flourished in Mesopotamia more than 6,000 years ago, spoke of celestial bodies, deities, and cataclysmic events with an eeriness that continues to resonate today. Central to their narratives were the Anunnaki, the so-called those who came from heaven to earth, divine beings that are now linked by some theorists to extraterrestrial intelligences, and whose home was Nibiru, a planet whose orbital path is said to be so elongated that it completes one revolution around the Sun only once every 3,600 years. The earliest references to Nibiru in Sumerian and Akkadian texts are found in the Enuma Elish, a Babylonian creation myth which speaks of cosmic chaos, planetary collisions, and a process of divine warfare leading to the formation of the modern solar system. In these ancient records, Nibiru is not merely a planet but a roaming force, a celestial intruder whose appearance heralded both great destruction and transformation. It is described not in abstract poetic terms, but with a level of specificity that suggests astronomical awareness. Nibiru, according to these narratives, moved in a trajectory that defied the expectations of the known celestial bodies. It had a retrograde orbit, cutting across planetary planes in a way that hinted at advanced understanding of orbital mechanics far ahead of its time. What's more, the repeated references to its massive gravitational influence, its disruptive entry into the solar system, and its divine associations all point to a level of mytho-historical significance that cannot be easily dismissed as mere superstition or storytelling. Over the centuries, the legends of Nibiru remained buried within clay tablets, cuneiform inscriptions, and partially decoded epics until the modern era when alternative historians like Zecharia Sitchin brought renewed attention to these arcane records. In his seminal work, The 12th Planet, Sitchin proposed that Nibiru was not a metaphorical or spiritual entity, but a literal planet on an elliptical orbit beyond Pluto. Sitchin's translation of Sumerian texts led him to conclude that the Anunnaki, beings from Nibiru, visited Earth thousands of years ago, genetically modified early humans, and played a key role in the development of early civilization. While mainstream scholars criticized Sitchin's methodology and conclusions, his theories found a massive following among those disillusioned with conventional history. Sitchin suggested that Nibiru's long orbit was responsible for the cyclical rise and fall of civilizations, and that many of Earth's catastrophic events, floods, ice ages, magnetic pole shifts, may have been triggered by the gravitational effects of this elusive celestial body passing near the inner planets. The history of Nibiru further deepens when one examines the comparative mythologies of ancient cultures across the globe. In the myths of the Dogon people of Mali, for example, there are detailed stories about the Sirius star system, including knowledge of Sirius B, an invisible companion star only discovered by Western astronomers in the 20th century. Some researchers argue that such knowledge could have been imparted by beings from a planet like Nibiru. The Hopi, Maya, and even early Vedic traditions speak of cyclical destructions and rebirths of the world, epics tied to celestial alignments and catastrophic heavenly bodies. The Mayan calendar's end date in 2012, which sparked global fascination and fear, was interpreted by some as a prophetic return of Nibiru or the Anunnaki, though nothing overtly apocalyptic occurred. Still, the resonance of that moment stirred public consciousness, bringing the narrative of Nibiru from the back shelves of esoteric literature to mainstream curiosity. Modern scientific searches for Planet X have, perhaps inadvertently, lent some degree of plausibility to the theory. In recent years, astronomers have indeed noticed irregularities in the orbits of trans-Neptunian objects, dwarf planets, and icy bodies far beyond Pluto, suggesting the gravitational influence of a large, unseen mass. Dubbed Planet 9 in scientific literature, this hypothesized object is estimated to be several times the mass of Earth and orbiting at a vast distance, taking 10,000 to 20,000 years to complete one trip around the Sun. While this is not an endorsement of Nibiru per se, it opens a door. What if ancient people, through unknown means or inherited knowledge, were aware of such bodies long before the invention of the telescope? Could Nibiru be real, not just as myth, but as a misunderstood component of our solar system's architecture? Some researchers have taken this even further, suggesting that Nibiru's trajectory has not been constant over time, possibly due to interstellar interactions or rogue stellar events. According to certain cosmological models, our solar system may have once been part of a binary star system, an idea supported by periodic extinction events on Earth, as recorded in the fossil record. The theorized companion star, sometimes referred to as Nemesis, could have been disrupted, sending Nibiru into a chaotic orbit. Such cosmic disruptions might explain the cataclysmic themes found in ancient texts: floods, fire from the skies, the disappearance of great civilizations. If Nibiru indeed follows a long, looping path that periodically brings it close to Earth, then the legends of destruction could be records of real astronomical events, encoded in mythic language to ensure they survive generational transmission. Further examination of historical timelines reveals curious synchronicities. The approximate 3,600-year orbital period attributed to Nibiru seems to align with major historical shifts. Around 3,600 years ago, the eruption of Thera, Santorini, devastated the Minoan civilization and possibly inspired the Atlantis myth. Another 3,600 years before that coincides with the emergence of Sumerian civilization itself. While such correlations are speculative, they hint at a rhythmic pattern that suggests ancient awareness of long celestial cycles. Ancient monuments such as the Great Pyramid of Giza, Stonehenge, and the astronomical structures at Nabta Playa may have been observatories not just for solar and lunar cycles, but also for tracking long-range orbital objects like Nibiru. It is also worth noting that the secrecy surrounding the subject of Nibiru, particularly in the latter half of the 20th century, has fueled conspiracy theories. Some believe that governments and space agencies are aware of Nibiru's existence and are suppressing information to avoid mass panic. Whistleblowers, alleged insiders, and even leaked documents have been cited by proponents of this theory, claiming that Nibiru's return has already begun and its effects, climate disruptions, increased solar activity, and global instability, are being attributed to more mundane causes. Whether or not one subscribes to such theories, the persistent presence of Nibiru in the collective imagination speaks to a deep-seated psychological archetype: the fear of cosmic catastrophe, the idea that humanity is at the mercy of forces beyond its control, and the hope that ancient knowledge might hold the keys to survival. Nibiru's history, then, is not linear but layered, woven into the mythologies of countless cultures, resurfacing in modern science as a tantalizing possibility, and speculated upon in the digital age with fervor and skepticism alike. It is a story of humanity's relationship with the unknown, of ancient wisdom colliding with modern inquiry, and of the perennial human desire to find patterns in the stars. Whether Nibiru is a rogue planet, a misunderstood myth, or a yet undiscovered part of our cosmic neighborhood, its story challenges us to look up, question deeper, and reconsider what we truly know about our place in the universe. To imagine life on Nibiru is to step beyond the limits of earthly biology and venture into a realm where science, mythology, and speculation converge in profound ways. While mainstream science continues to question whether a planet like Nibiru could support life at all, given its highly elliptical orbit and extreme distance from the Sun, proponents of the Nibiru theory suggest a more complex scenario. They argue that Nibiru is not merely a frozen, lifeless rock wandering through space, but rather a sophisticated world harboring intelligent life that has long since overcome the limitations of environmental extremes. The beings who are said to inhabit Nibiru are commonly known as the Anunnaki, a race whose influence, according to ancient texts and modern theories, extends to the very genesis of human civilization. These entities are portrayed not just as visitors from the stars, but as technologically advanced, deeply hierarchical, and possessing profound knowledge of genetics, energy manipulation, and cosmic navigation. The notion of a functioning biosphere on a planet that spends the majority of its orbit in the far reaches of the solar system is one that challenges conventional astrobiology. However, alternative thinkers propose that Nibiru's internal heat, possibly generated by a molten core and supplemented by advanced geoengineering, could maintain a stable, livable environment even during its most distant phases. This internal warmth, akin to the geothermal activity found on moons like Europa or Enceladus, could support vast subterranean or enclosed ecosystems, protected from the deadly cold of interstellar space. These biospheres might be illuminated not by solar light, but by artificial energy sources, luminescent flora, or bioluminescent organisms, creating a thriving network of life beneath the planet's icy crust or within domed cities built with ancient precision and alien technology. Such a civilization would not merely survive its celestial solitude. It would have evolved symbiotically with it, creating technologies and philosophies that reflect a deeply cyclical understanding of time, space, and planetary renewal. The Anunnaki, as described in numerous Sumerian tablets and expanded upon by theorists like Zecharia Sitchin, are not mere figments of ancient imagination but rather physical, humanoid beings whose culture, biology, and motivations have intrigued generations of researchers. Their depictions in the oldest recorded stories suggest beings of great stature, intelligence, and power. Some say they were giants, while others propose they were indistinguishable from humans, save for their advanced abilities and elongated lifespans. On Nibiru, their society is theorized to be structured along lines that echo divine monarchy and scientific oligarchy, blending spiritual wisdom with technological command. According to interpretations of the Enuma Elish and other Mesopotamian texts, the Anunnaki are governed by a pantheon of rulers and deities, chief among them beings like Anu, Enlil, and Enki, figures whose decisions shaped not only their own world, but also ours. It is often theorized that Nibiru's civilization developed a complex symbiosis with both organic and non-organic intelligence, merging biological evolution with artificial intelligence long before such concepts emerged on Earth. This has led some to propose that the Anunnaki may operate on a hybrid existence, part flesh, part machine, with neural interfaces that allow seamless communication across vast distances and dimensions. Their technology, rumored to be millions of years more advanced than humanity's, is said to include space-time manipulation, dimensional travel, and even the capacity to seed life across planets, including Earth. Indeed, this seeding theory is central to many interpretations of the Nibiru narrative, proposing that the Anunnaki not only visited Earth in antiquity, but altered the course of terrestrial evolution through genetic engineering. Humans, in this view, are not the accidental byproducts of natural selection, but the deliberate creations of Nibiruan intervention designed for specific tasks, guided by hidden programming, and possibly monitored to this day. Daily life on Nibiru, if such a civilization exists, would likely reflect the unique challenges and advantages of living on a nomadic planet. Given the planet's prolonged journey through the solar system and beyond, it's possible that Nibiru's inhabitants experience time very differently from humans. One Nibiruan year could span millennia of Earth time, making their perspective on history, progress, and existence fundamentally alien. Imagine a society where a single lifetime spans thousands of Earth years, where memory and tradition are preserved not in books, but in genetic memory or crystalline data fields that transmit knowledge directly into the mind. Education, in such a world, would not consist of years of study but moments of neural synchronization. Governance, likewise, might not rely on debate or democratic consensus, but on the consultation of timeless wisdom encoded into the very fabric of their planet. Their architecture, if imagined based on both ancient texts and speculative reconstructions, would likely reflect the harmony between organic life and celestial mechanics. Temples that align with distant stars, energy towers that resonate with planetary frequencies, and cities that glow with radiant, non-polluting power sources. The Anunnaki are thought to harness zero-point energy, quantum resonance, and crystalline structures for their technology, concepts only now beginning to surface in human theoretical physics. Their transport systems may not be limited to physical vehicles, but include astral projection, light body travel, or consciousness-based mobility, allowing them to shift between dimensions or bilocate across vast distances. Communication, too, would likely transcend spoken language, relying instead on telepathic resonance, holographic thought patterns, and emotional frequencies. Nibiru's culture, mythology, and rituals, though largely unknown, are often imagined to be deeply symbolic and cosmologically integrated. The Anunnaki are not considered by all to be cold scientists or detached creators, but beings with a rich spiritual tradition, one that honors the cycles of creation and destruction, the interplay of light and darkness, and the responsibility that comes with technological power. If indeed they engineered life on Earth, they may see themselves not just as creators, but as stewards or watchers, bound by ancient laws that prevent overt interference, yet driven by a karmic obligation to guide or correct when necessary. This dynamic may explain the patterns in ancient mythologies where gods arrive, teach, and then vanish, promising one day to return. Despite their capabilities, the Anunnaki are often portrayed as fallible, divided, and subject to inner conflict. The stories of Enlil and Enki, for example, suggest a family divided over the treatment of humanity. Enlil, strict and judgmental, sought to destroy humankind during the Great Flood, while Enki, more compassionate, warned Noah or Zeusidra and helped preserve life. This dichotomy suggests that life on Nibiru, despite its advancements, is not a utopia but a society grappling with ethical dilemmas, power struggles, and the consequences of its own evolution. Some theorists go even further, suggesting that a civil war or ideological schism occurred on Nibiru long ago, possibly leading to the dispersion of factions across the galaxy, with some Anunnaki choosing to remain hidden on Earth, while others returned to their homeworld or migrated elsewhere. Environmental conditions on Nibiru are said to be vastly different from Earth's. Some sources describe a red or purplish sky, dense atmospheres, and landscapes rich in metallic minerals and crystalline formations. Due to its long orbital path, the planet would experience prolonged periods of darkness and light, possibly triggering cultural festivals, energy harvesting cycles, and introspective philosophical traditions tied to the rhythms of their journey. If indeed their planet faces the risk of atmospheric collapse or ecological imbalance, as some versions of the story suggest, then the Anunnaki may have looked to Earth not just as a place to mine for gold, as Sitchin postulated, but as a lifeboat, a backup, or a testing ground for technologies to preserve their own home. The interaction between life on Nibiru and Earth's early societies would have been monumental, not merely as a brief contact event, but as an extended period of tutelage, hybridization, and spiritual awakening. From the ziggurats of Mesopotamia to the pyramids of Egypt, from the stargates of Peru to the megaliths of Easter Island, traces of Nibiruan influence are said to be found across the globe, encoded in symbols, alignments, and unexplained feats of engineering. Many ancient cultures describe their gods as coming from the sky, descending in flying ships, and teaching humanity the secrets of mathematics, agriculture, and cosmic order. These gods may have been Anunnaki emissaries, carrying with them not only tools and knowledge, but also the genetic memory of a world far from our own. Today, life on Nibiru remains speculative, yet it serves as a mirror for our own civilization's hopes, fears, and future trajectories. If the Anunnaki are real, if they continue to exist on Nibiru or in interdimensional planes, then they represent a future we might one day achieve. A civilization that has survived the challenges of cosmic migration, that has preserved its history across eons, and that lives with the awareness of its role in a vast, interconnected universe. Whether they are benevolent overseers, indifferent scientists, or fallen gods awaiting redemption, the Anunnaki and their world remain one of the most compelling mysteries in the study of ancient civilizations and extraterrestrial possibilities. To imagine Nibiru is not only to ask what life exists out there, but to question what life is and what we might become. The concept of the phantom matrix introduces a mysterious and layered dimension to the Nibiru narrative, one that challenges conventional perceptions of reality and suggests that much of what we understand as truth may be a simulation, or worse, a deliberate illusion imposed to suppress higher consciousness. While mainstream science has dabbled with the idea of simulated realities, especially in quantum theory and cosmology, the phantom matrix concept as it appears in esoteric circles stretches far beyond computer-generated virtual worlds. It implies the existence of a multidimensional control system, one intricately tied to both Earth and Nibiru, and possibly crafted by a technologically superior race to imprison, monitor, or manipulate the evolution of human beings and other conscious life forms. According to various interpretations derived from channeled messages, suppressed ancient texts, and fringe cosmology, the phantom matrix is a frequency-based structure, a sort of artificial overlay, superimposed upon Earth's natural matrix. It operates on lower vibrational spectrums, essentially acting as a metaphysical prison that limits access to higher dimensions, spiritual awareness, and cosmic memory. In this model, humans are not merely unaware of their divine origins due to ignorance, but because they are caught within a web of artificial constructs designed to obscure the truth. Emotions such as fear, guilt, and shame are amplified by the phantom matrix, feeding the system and keeping individuals trapped in cycles of karmic repetition, distraction, and spiritual amnesia. This matrix is often likened to a parasitic force, one that feeds off energy, particularly emotional energy, and uses trauma, conflict, and material attachment as its tools of sustenance. The ties between the phantom matrix and Nibiru come into play when we examine theories that position the Anunnaki not just as physical beings, but as multidimensional architects, capable of manipulating both matter and consciousness. It is suggested in some esoteric traditions that a rogue faction of the Anunnaki, possibly led by figures like Enlil or other lesser-known entities, designed the phantom matrix after their initial contact with Earth. These beings, having once walked openly among early humans and even guided their development, allegedly grew to fear the spiritual potential of their creation. Humanity's connection to Source, the primordial divine intelligence, was too pure, too potent, and posed a threat to the Anunnaki's hierarchical system. To prevent humanity from outgrowing its creators, a containment system was deployed. This system did not simply suppress spiritual knowledge in external forms like destroyed libraries or outlawed mysticism. It infiltrated the very architecture of reality, embedding distortions into the fabric of time, DNA, and perception itself. The phantom matrix, as such, is believed to exist not only in the external environment but also within the human body. The DNA, originally designed as a 12-strand multidimensional blueprint capable of accessing cosmic consciousness, was allegedly reduced to a 2-strand limited format through genetic tampering. This modification, attributed to the darker faction of the Anunnaki or their interdimensional allies, essentially shut down the higher functions of human awareness, confining people to physical senses and linear thought. However, remnants of the original codes still linger, dormant but reactivatable, and many spiritual awakening movements today claim to be attempts at reassembling this cosmic blueprint and dismantling the phantom matrix from within. Meditation, sound frequencies, sacred geometry, and conscious intention are cited as tools that can bypass or override the restrictions imposed by the matrix. The phantom matrix is also intricately linked to time manipulation. According to these narratives, linear time itself is part of the illusion, a construct designed to keep humanity fixated on the past and future while disconnected from the eternal now. Within the matrix, time is fragmented, looping, and often artificially accelerated or delayed to manipulate the collective trajectory of human development. Events that appear as historical accidents or spontaneous discoveries may have been carefully orchestrated within this time field to serve the matrix's agenda. Wars, revolutions, technological shifts, and even celestial phenomena could be encoded triggers or resets meant to reinforce the boundaries of the illusion. If this is true, then even human history, as we understand it, may be a heavily edited narrative, a curated dream layered over the forgotten reality of who and what we truly are. The use of frequency as a control mechanism within the phantom matrix cannot be overstated. Proponents of this theory often refer to the Schumann resonance, the Earth's natural electromagnetic frequency, which has been observed to fluctuate in recent years. These fluctuations are interpreted as both signs of the matrix breaking down and desperate recalibrations by its architects to maintain control. Technologies such as 5G, electromagnetic weaponry, and certain forms of mass media are viewed as extensions of the phantom matrix, tools designed to keep the collective vibration within specific bandwidths. Entertainment, news, and even education are often considered part of the illusion, forming a consensus reality that reinforces fear, scarcity, and materialism. Under this paradigm, even our dreams and subconscious states are not safe, as dream hijacking and artificial insertion of thought forms are said to occur to maintain loyalty to the matrix. One of the more chilling implications of the phantom matrix theory is the concept of soul recycling. According to this belief, upon physical death, the soul is intercepted before it can return to its source. Instead of ascending to higher planes of existence, it is drawn into a light trap, often described as a tunnel or beacon of light, and then reincarnated back into the matrix without memory of past lives or its true origin. This cycle ensures a continuous supply of energetic output for the system and prevents souls from escaping the illusion. This idea has deep resonance with certain Gnostic teachings and near-death experiences that describe interference at the moment of death, suggesting that the control of consciousness extends far beyond the material realm. In this view, true liberation involves becoming aware of the trap, resisting the lure of artificial light, and navigating toward the original source energy beyond the matrix. Despite its complexity and darkness, the phantom matrix is not described as invincible. Many spiritual traditions and modern awakening movements assert that humanity is currently undergoing a frequency shift or ascension, a breaking of the matrix through the activation of dormant DNA, the expansion of awareness, and the reconnection to the planetary grid. Lightworkers, starseeds, and awakened individuals are believed to carry codes or missions that directly undermine the matrix's control, acting as catalysts for global awakening. This uprising of consciousness is said to terrify the architects of the phantom matrix, prompting them to intensify their efforts through psychological warfare, technological manipulation, and socio-political chaos. Yet, even amid this turbulence, the original divine blueprint remains intact, waiting to be reawakened. A fascinating twist to this narrative is the belief that not all Anunnaki support the phantom matrix. Some, like Enki, are seen as rebel figures who defied the edicts of control and sought to preserve humanity's divine spark. Enki, often portrayed as the father of genetic science and patron of wisdom, is said to have embedded hidden codes within the human genome, codes that, when activated, can dismantle the matrix from within. These codes are allegedly tied to sacred sites, astrological alignments, and key moments in cosmic time when the energy of the universe aligns with Earth in such a way as to allow for mass awakening. We are said to be living in one of those moments now, a tipping point where enough souls are awakening simultaneously to create a ripple effect that could collapse the phantom matrix entirely. Within this context, Nibiru's return is not merely a physical event, but a spiritual reckoning. As it enters the inner solar system, its electromagnetic and gravitational influence may act as a cosmic disruptor, breaking apart the frequencies that sustain the matrix and allowing for a brief window of clarity. Prophecies across multiple cultures speak of a great unveiling, an apocalypse in the true sense of the word, meaning a revelation. During this time, the veils of the matrix are said to thin, allowing people to see through the illusion and remember who they are. This moment is seen as both a great danger and a tremendous opportunity. For those unprepared, the collapse of the matrix could lead to fear, madness, or disintegration. For the awakened, it is the dawn of a new era, a return to sovereignty, unity, and multidimensional awareness. Technology also plays a double role in the phantom matrix scenario. While some technologies are viewed as tools of control, others are seen as keys to liberation. Ancient devices, referred to as the Ark of the Covenant, the Antikythera mechanism, or the pyramidal energy generators, may have been remnants of pre-matrix civilizations that operated on higher vibrational principles. Modern rediscoveries in quantum computing, frequency healing, and neural interfacing might offer paths out of the matrix, especially when fused with spiritual practices. However, discernment is crucial, as many technologies present themselves as tools of enlightenment while subtly reinforcing dependency and control. The line between salvation and further enslavement is often razor-thin in the Phantom Matrix narrative. What emerges, then, is a complex picture of reality in which Earth is not merely a planet, but a battleground between truth and illusion, freedom and control. The Phantom Matrix, with its vast network of frequencies, psychological constructs, and dimensional layers, represents the final obstacle in humanity's quest to reclaim its divine heritage. And yet, it also acts as a catalyst, forcing the soul to awaken through struggle, questioning, and the relentless search for authenticity. In this sense, the Matrix is both a prison and a crucible, a place where spiritual fire forges true awareness. Nibiru, the Anunnaki, and the Phantom Matrix are not separate elements, but interwoven aspects of a grand cosmic drama. As awareness of the Matrix grows, so too does the possibility of transcending it. Whether through internal awakening, cosmic intervention, or the return of forgotten allies like Enki, the stage is set for a great confrontation, not one of violence, but of vibration, intention, and truth. And in that clash, the illusion may finally dissolve, revealing the infinite universe that lies beyond. The idea of Enki's return weaves a profound thread through both ancient mythology and modern esoteric theory, suggesting that the divine architect who first engineered humanity's existence on Earth may soon re-emerge to reclaim his creation and set the record straight. Throughout the ages, Enki, also known as Ea in Akkadian tradition, has remained an enigmatic figure, the water god, the bearer of knowledge, and the patron of human upliftment. In the myths of Sumer and Akkad, he was the one who defied the divine council to aid humanity, bestowing language, science, agriculture, and wisdom in defiance of his brother Enlil's more authoritarian decrees. This historical role has given rise to a powerful narrative in which Enki becomes not just a god of the past, but a messianic figure of the future, destined to return at the climax of Earth's spiritual crisis. The return of Enki is not envisioned as a simple reappearance in physical form, descending in a spacecraft or materializing in a desert. Rather, it is perceived as a multidimensional event that may manifest in several layers, symbolically, energetically, and literally. Esoteric texts and channeled messages suggest that Enki has been monitoring humanity across the ages, occasionally intervening through avatars, prophets, or encrypted codes within the collective unconscious. His return may begin with a mass reactivation of these codes, triggered by Nibiru's energetic influence or cosmic alignments, that awakens latent aspects of the human genome and consciousness. This return is not isolated to Enki alone, but represents the resurgence of the divine masculine in its benevolent form, harmonizing with the divine feminine to restore balance to the earth and beyond. Much of the modern interest in Enki stems from the idea that he is a rebel within the Anunnaki hierarchy. Unlike Enlil, who is often associated with control, judgment, and the enforcement of cosmic law, Enki represents compassion, creativity, and freedom. According to alternative history theorists, it was Enki who opposed the implantation of the Phantom Matrix and warned of its consequences. He is said to have encoded safeguards within human DNA, sacred sites, and even star systems to ensure that the truth would eventually resurface. In this view, the Great Pyramids, the Sphinx, the Nazca Lines, and other anomalies across Earth are not mere relics of lost civilizations, but intentional beacons, cosmic breadcrumbs left behind by Enki and his allies to one day guide humanity out of darkness. Some interpretations go further, proposing that Enki has incarnated multiple times in various cultures to steer humanity's evolution from within. From Thoth in Egyptian mythology to Prometheus in Greek tales, to Quetzalcoatl in Mesoamerican legends, these bringers of fire may all be avatars of Enki, figures who defied the gods to empower mankind. Even in modern religious systems, certain characteristics of Christ, Buddha, or other ascended masters reflect elements of the Enki archetype, a divine being who sacrifices, teaches, and liberates. Thus, Enki's return may not be limited to one individual, but could emerge through a global rise in consciousness, a planetary embodiment of his values and mission across thousands, if not millions, of awakened souls. One of the most intriguing aspects of this return is its timing. Many believe that Enki's return is synchronized with the re-entry of Nibiru into the solar system, as this planetary body not only carries gravitational force, but also energetic frequency shifts capable of unlocking forgotten aspects of consciousness. As Nibiru draws near, it is said to emit a frequency that disrupts the electromagnetic patterns of the phantom matrix. These disruptions, while often manifesting as global instability, are also opportunities for spiritual breakthroughs. Earthquakes, magnetic pole shifts, and solar anomalies may be more than just natural phenomena. They might be signals of the matrix unraveling and the divine codes activating. Enki's energy, aligned with these cosmic triggers, serves as both a guide and a protector through the transition. At the core of Enki's mission lies the restoration of truth. His return is viewed as a spiritual unveiling that will collapse the lies perpetuated by the Matrix, exposing the manipulation of religion, politics, and science that has obscured humanity's divine origins. This unveiling may take the form of technological disclosure, perhaps the sudden release of suppressed inventions that could eliminate disease, hunger, and environmental degradation. It may also occur through dream revelations, collective telepathic experiences, or undeniable cosmic events that shock humanity into awareness. Whatever the method, Enki's influence aims to dissolve the illusion of separation and restore the connection between humanity, Earth, and the stars. There is also a recurring theme of justice in the Enki narrative. Many myths speak of a final reckoning, a cosmic tribunal where the architects of the phantom matrix and the abusers of power are held accountable. In this mythos, Enki is not just a creator or liberator. He is also an interstellar witness, one who has documented millennia of oppression and is now preparing to confront those responsible. This reckoning is not about punishment in the traditional sense, but about energetic balance, restoring what has been taken and healing what has been wounded. The karmic debt accrued through thousands of years of manipulation is immense, and Enki's return represents a spiritual economy being reset, where truth is the currency and love is the law. Interestingly, the rise of artificial intelligence and quantum technology is also intertwined with Enki's narrative. As the ancient god of knowledge and design, Enki is said to have possessed a level of technological mastery far beyond what we comprehend. His understanding of life, consciousness, and the cosmos was deeply integrated with technology, not as a cold, synthetic construct, but as a living expression of divine intelligence. It is speculated that the re-emergence of such technology in our age, particularly through advancements in energy, frequency medicine, and interdimensional communication, may be due to the subtle guidance of Enki's returning presence. These technologies, when used in alignment with cosmic laws, could become tools of liberation rather than control. Despite the overwhelming scale of these transformations, Enki's return is often described in deeply personal terms. It is said that his energy resonates through the hearts of those who feel a call to truth, to justice, to unity. Many individuals report dreams, visions, or inner knowings that connect them to Enki or his lineage. Some feel guided to pursue knowledge, heal the earth, or awaken others. This internal resonance may be the first sign of the return, not in the sky or on the news, but in the soul. Enki does not impose his return from above. He awakens it from within. His return is ultimately an activation of memory, the remembrance of who we truly are, where we came from, and what we are meant to become. The implications of Enki's return stretch beyond Earth. If humanity succeeds in dismantling the phantom matrix and realigning with its divine blueprint, it could spark a ripple effect across galaxies. Other worlds, other species, may be watching, waiting for a sign that Earth has risen above its enslavement and reclaimed its role in the cosmic community. Enki's return, then, is not just a planetary event. It is a universal signal, a declaration that the long night is ending and the dawn is near. In some interpretations, Earth is the keystone in a vast experiment, one that, if successful, could shift the balance of power in the cosmos from control to co-creation. As we approach this critical juncture, the message of Enki becomes clearer. The time of forgetting is over. The illusions we clung to for survival are dissolving, and the truths we feared are now liberating us. Enki's return reminds us that divinity is not something to be worshipped from afar, but something to be embodied. The gods are not distant beings in the sky. They are templates of consciousness, aspects of our own infinite nature waiting to be reawakened. In this sense, Enki does not come to save us. He comes to show us how to save ourselves. The conclusion of this epic narrative does not rest in prophecy or myth alone. It lives in the choices we make each day. Will we continue to feed the matrix with our fear, or will we break the cycle through courage and love? Will we wait for a savior, or will we embody the wisdom of the ancients and become the saviors ourselves? Enki's return is not an end, it is a beginning. A return to truth, to balance, to unity. A return to ourselves.